Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say. Yes, people, we are back with another episode of Dribbz Talks. And in the hot seat today, it's the very talented, highly creative Mr. Kris Sadler. Thank you for coming down, my mate.
Thank you. Cheers for having me.
Honestly, I really appreciate it.
This could get interesting.
So, yeah, let's just go straight into it. So, firstly, for the listeners that don't know, can you introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Right. Well, as you know, yes, my name's Kris. I am a chef by day, but 5 years ago I picked up a camera, and off the back of that I've become quite well known in my field. And yes, I go by Krisography on various social media, and then there's a little tag on the back of that as well, which is Lens Jedi, which I got called basically by a friend of mine. He's like, "Man, you're a Lens Jedi," and I was like, "That's sticking." So that's on there. I don't obviously watermark my actual landscape photography with it, but on the socials, that's on there as well. So yeah, it's been a good journey, self-taught and a slight obsession. So it's good.
I think it's more than an obsession now, mate. I think you're definitely well involved, and to me, you know, from the local community when photographing, not that I know much about it, but it feels like Krisography is quite a household name now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I get recognised when I'm out and about because obviously I do a lot of live streams and bits and pieces. So I'm not just behind the camera. I am quite vocal on it as well, and I'm quite seen. So it's kind of weird. The first time I got spotted, it was actually off the back of YouTube. But I was walking down the road and someone near me was like, "Are you Kris? I recognise you." And I was like, "I am, yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I watch your YouTube." And, you know, he said, "And you always read out the train times." That's a long story, I won't go into it. But he's like, "You read out the train times, and they always come past our house at the same time." It turns out he lived about 10 doors down.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that was always a bit of a rolling joke whenever I'd listen to your, your vlog. Not so much your vlogs, your Q&As that you would do, the live sessions. It was always like,
"It's a train, yeah.
Here comes the train rumbling through. That's the 2 something heading to shoot." Yeah, it was always quite a laugh with that, mate.
That's it. Yeah, so that sort of got a bit of a reputation.
Living so close to them, you know, this isn't even a set question, but living so close to them train tracks, is it something that you turn yourself off from now? You don't hear them trains as much as you do, or are you focused on them every time they come rumbling through?
No, you just get used to it. When my boys were smaller, they used to love the big ones, the freight trains coming through, because it'd be like, "Biggie," and they rumble. Like, you hear them coming from a bit of distance. It sounds like they're absolutely thundering along, and then they go past at about 20 mile an hour, and it takes ages. But no, to be totally honest, you just get used to it. It's the human brain has got a very good thing where it gets used to regular noises. If you live near airports, you don't hear the planes and stuff like that. So yeah, it just kind of fills them out.
Mm-hmm. So me and you go way back, and I'm talking like as far back as I used to shout you out on pirate radio shows. So it's that long ago when you were doing your shifts as a chef in the kitchen.
That's it.
I remember shouting you out. I've still got archived radio shows where there is big ups to you and shouts to you. So that is that gives me an idea of how long I've actually known you.
15 years.
It's got to be.
It is, because I moved to Shropshire 15 years ago.
There we go then. We go. So as far as I remember, going way back to when I first knew you, you never come across to me like you were destined to be a photographer.
No, I haven't.
So when did the passion for taking pictures first start? Was there like a moment, or did you meet someone or feel influenced by something you've seen?
I've always had a creative flair, I suppose, from being a chef. That helped, and I've always been quite a creative person. I was never academic. Sort of the strongest one I'd done at school was probably art. So there was always that more creative side than the brainy side. Hence, I'm a chef and not an accountant. But it was just, I borrowed my father-in-law's camera about 5 years ago, almost to date, and we went to Barmouth, and it had like a decent zoom on it. So while we were down there, we just took some pictures of seagulls and whatever. And I just kind of quite enjoyed it, and I thought, this is quite good. So I was telling my mum about it, and she's like, "Oh, I've got a camera, I'll send it up to you, I don't use it." So I was like, okay. Then off the back of that, I've had about 5 cameras and God knows how many lenses, and now it's a successful business that does well. And I still try and keep that creative side as well, and I like to try and put my stamp on it. I always say, if you see a scene, take it differently.
Yeah.
You know, don't copy the rest.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that's what you're very well known for, and I will come on to that in a minute. So, as I said, you know, you are a household, like Krisography to me is a household, you know, known name within the community. You know, you're very much around Telford and surrounding, but you've never actually lived in Telford your whole life, have you? I'm sure you're an Essex boy, if I remember rightly.
Essex boy, yep.
There you go, I've got that right.
Yep, from Colchester. Left Colchester when I was, I'm from a small town called Brightlingsea, which is just on the coast, the Singapore town of Colchester. And obviously I grew up there. I've lived in the same house all my life. And then I left there when I was probably 25, I think. I left home a couple of times and lived with friends and girlfriends and whatever, but kept going back when things went pear-shaped. That's what parents are for, right? So, and then I went abroad, and I worked abroad for 5-6 years, and then met a girl in France, came back to Telford. Brush over that one didn't work, but I am now still living here, married, and children. So, and Shropshire is amazing.
Do you tend to find yourself going back to Essex at all? When was the last time you went down there?
It's been about a year and a half now, to be fair.
It's not that long, is it, really?
No. I used to go back once or twice a year, but it just gets harder and harder. The kids are busier now. They're in more clubs, football, and boy plays handball for Shropshire and all sorts. So
nice.
to get weekends off is almost unheard of.
Have you got extended family down there, or is it just your mum and dad down there?
No,
and your siblings? And...
Mum, dad and sister are down in Colchester, or thereabouts. And then I've got brothers scattered across Kent, Yorkshire and Cambridge. So
to me, there's many people that like to take photographs to capture certain moments in their lives and that, but when did this go from becoming a basic hobby to a business where others would access your service?
I'd say certainly the advice I dish out now, which is probably must have been what happened to me, is someone went, do you sell prints? And at that point you think, I've done something good enough that someone wants it. You know, and I look back at some of the work, 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I thought that was good.
I'm the same with my music.
And it's not.
Yeah, certain tracks I listen to now, I'm like, really, I put that out there, but at the time, the people liked it.
Exactly,
so.
Yeah, and
that shows the progression of how far you've come,
Definitely, yeah. But
you're able to reflect and look back on work and think, well, I probably could have done that different to make that better,
Of course, yeah, we don't know everything we know now. Never will, and I'll know more in 5 years than I know
Absolutely.
now. But no, I'd say it was when when people showed an interest and when sort of socials picked up a bit. It took about 4 years, I'd say, to push. I push Facebook more than anything else. I don't bother too much with Instagram. I do it because I have to, as far as through the Meta business platform. But the rest of it is mostly Facebook. I'd say 90% of the business is Facebook.
Okay.
Small amount from the website. Again, don't push that. It's just become a very Facebook thing, and then I just do well from it. It's and word of mouth.
They always say to me, with the music and me putting it on different platforms, I've always been told by many people, including yourself the other day, Instagram it's not really the one if you want to try and get yourself really big and well known. It seems like Instagram's kind of not died a death. It's still active, but
if you pay,
this is the thing. Money talks.
Yeah,
money talks.
That's it. And I don't really want to pay.
No.
To reach the people. I mean, Christ, we could go down a right rabbit hole with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, aside from photography, can you think of anything else that you're good at? Obviously, you're a chef, so I'm guessing the creative with making meals, you can do that. But can you think of anything else aside from your day-to-day job and the photography?
I'm pretty...
I mean, you're a smashing dad. I just want to say that to you, mate. With your boys and stuff,
I thought I'd be better.
You thought you'd be better?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Why do you think you'd be better, bro?
I don't know.
But we all challenge ourselves as dads at times, In the back of my head, I'm always thinking, I could have done this better. Maybe I shouldn't have spent so many time writing lyrics in the studio. Maybe I should have been with my kids. This is what I was saying to Callum. Callum was saying, obviously, Callum hasn't got the kids and whatnot, but he's still got a partner. And people don't realise the amount of time preparation that we do for these things, like the writing with me, the preparation with you, the travelling to different locations. I'm guessing you don't take the kids to all of them, do you?
No.
No,
it's a lot easier when I don't. But no, I don't know. In my head, I'd be like a really good dad and have loads of time for them, and I don't. My temper's really short, and I just don't. I try to, and I'm conscious of it. But it's a very hard one. It's like you wanna have nice stuff, but it's not going to be given to you. So you got to work and earn money, And I'm in an opportunity now where I can earn a lot more than I do just in the one job. So, but it takes up more time, and I don't want to quit the first job. But one, I enjoy it. It's quite a rewarding job. It's quite easy. Hopefully, the bosses don't listen.
And it's your bread and butter wage, I guess.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
I know it's coming in. And it also then keeps photography creative and enjoyable instead of it becoming mundane and it's just another wedding or I have no passion for it.
I mean, there's no manual with being a dad. Let's face it, we all wing it. We all wing it. I don't think there's anything such as a perfect dad out there, but I don't know how much you would agree with me with this, but with my music and with yourself with Krisography and things like that, you're almost making a lasting legacy for your children.
Yeah, hopefully.
If it's not something you can hand down to them, at least when they get older and they appreciate how much stuff you've actually done, it's something to be proud of, mate.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, on that side of it, it's more just, I guess, the time. I just have to spend a bit more time when I can, and that's the problem with social media, mobile phones, whatever, from kids and from adults.
It takes over, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm totally guilty of that.
We're all guilty for it. And any of the, you see an Instagram post and whatever about how you should not do this and do that, and
makes you question everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. But realistically, it's not the world we live in. The world we live in is phones are everywhere and computers are everywhere.
100%.
It's hard to just...
It is hard to balance that family life and work life. It does get difficult, and sometimes you end up doing more than others. But I find that even when I'm taking my children out, I've always got one hand on my phone. I'll be the first to admit that, mate.
I'm always taking pictures.
Well, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's, yeah.
You go somewhere nice, I want to obviously get pictures while I'm there. But then I, like on holiday or whatever, I'm taking the stuff with me because I'm going somewhere that I probably won't go again.
Yeah.
So I want to capture the moment, but then this is our family time.
Do you have particular moments where your wife will say, "Leave the camera at home today, Kris"?
Yep.
A lot of the time, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not going to put her down too much.
Of course not.
She puts up with a lot.
Our ladies do, mate. Our ladies do.
No
And I think behind
it.
every good man is a good woman, And the way I live my life is happy wife, happy life. If you can keep your wife happy, then your life tends to be, pretty happy itself.
Yeah. It is balance. It is balance, and it's not easy. Yeah, and there's weeks where I'll work 10, 15 days, and there'll be huge paychecks at the end of it, and then there'll be weeks where it's a bit more time, and I have to make the most of that time.
Yeah,
and that's where I need to channel that. As a working relationship, we have to understand that, right, I'm busy this week, and then when I get back, yes, I'm at home, but I've got 2,000 pictures to edit.
Exactly, which takes your time up, doesn't it? I'm guessing when you're editing, you can't just have half an eye on the kids, half an eye on the editing. You're putting your mind and your work into that.
Yeah.
To create results.
Yeah. But we're getting there. I think, I'd say probably a year ago was quite tricky because I was really sort of starting to push it off the ground and was quite obsessive. I wanted to do every job. I wanted to reply to every message straight away. Whereas now I'm a bit calmer. I sort of step back a bit and go, they can wait. Or no, I don't want to do that job.
Yeah.
I don't need it now.
Yeah.
Whereas at the point I wanted to take on everything.
Yeah, we're all winging it as dads, like I said, mate. There ain't no manual. But for you, what do you mainly enjoy about photography? I'm sure there's lots of things you enjoy, but what's kind of something that really makes you feel positive when you're taking these pictures?
Just creating something unique. I think when I look at a piece of work afterwards, if I get excited on the back of the camera, I don't let people see the back of the camera very often. And you've had a shoot with me, and I'm just like, no, wait till it's finished.
Yep.
Because it's like seeing a steak before it's cooked or something. You know what I mean? You don't want to see the ingredients. You want to see the meal you've paid for coming out as it should.
The final product.
Yeah. So I try not to show too many people, but if I get a bit excited about it on the back of the camera, then I know I'm already sort of got a vision in my head of what it's going to look like. So I think it is just that kind of creative, just I don't know, the passion.
Do you get that like kind of good feeling when people view your pictures? Say like you present a picture that's printed to a couple that have requested something, and their response, because to me, when I've finished a track and someone takes the time to listen to it and go, that's really, really good, I love that part when you did this, that makes me feel good inside, because I think, well, I'm doing, I'm putting a smile on someone's face. And I guess you get that a lot with photography because you're capturing people's moments. Yeah.
No, it is. It's I've done a wedding last week and I sent all the pictures and the video over yesterday, and she's like, you've created memories that will last forever.
Perfect.
This is so lovely. And there's a few pictures in there that I wasn't 100% happy with, but I'm like, I've took them. They've still captured a moment. They're maybe just not super sharp or whatever, low lighting, but they're there. And not every picture has to be perfect. It has to capture that memory.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So it doesn't matter if it's a bit grainy or a bit noisy. It's not got to be Instagram perfect 24/7. It can just be a memory.
Yeah.
That it's exactly that.
100%.
You see that photo and it takes you back to that time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, me and Callum were talking about this on one of the last podcasts, that there's certain tracks that we'll listen to and they can either relay emotions of how you felt that particular time, or they can completely pick you up and put you back into a certain scenario. And I guess that's maybe what it does with photos as well, because you can look at something and think, I remember that moment when we were doing this. And the thing I always say with you, and I said to Callum again, I know I'm referring back to that, but we spoke about you a lot, and I said the fantastic thing I find with you when you're booked for events and stuff, that you never actually quite see you. You are like a Jedi. You're like a silent ninja. These photos come out and it's like, wow, he's all over the place. But at the events, you just seem to blend in. And I think, to me, not knowing too much about photography, that's a good sign with photographers, you know, that you can actually blend into the background and still get them shots.
Yeah, no, that's it. When I done one of the festivals in the town centre, the Audio Tech one, Parklands, that's it. I was racking my brain now.
Yeah, big up all the Auditech crew.
That's it, yeah. And Monroe was on stage, so I was sort of photographing him, and I sent the pictures over, and he's like, mate, what, wait, hey, where was you?
Where was you? Didn't even know you were here.
I stood right in front of him. And he's like, didn't even know anyone was taking my pictures. And I was like, yeah, well, there you go, you're welcome. And again, in Abbey Road as well, it's like, people are just like, I didn't even know you were in the room. Didn't even know you'd done this or done
Exactly
that.
that.
And I think that's and I always say, I'd say it in my day job, like, the art of being busy is not looking busy.
Yeah.
People that look busy generally aren't actually producing anything.
True.
They're just flapping around looking busy.
Yeah.
But nothing really gets done. Mm-hmm. Whereas I produce it and don't look like I am. And that, I think, is a bit of a secret.
Yeah, and that's a skill in itself, mate. That's a skill in itself. So you mentioned the positives with photographing, but can you give me any negatives? There's got to be some negatives to this. It can't all just be roses and flower beds.
It's expensive.
Isn't everything, mate?
It's not a cheap hobby. You know, I mean, sort of one camera lens setup that I use, new, and like the stuff I've got isn't new now. But new, you're probably looking at about $5,000. The next camera that I'd like is probably about $4,000 just for the body.
Wow.
And then there's a new series of lenses to go with that.
Of course,
so
there
you
is.
know, you could chuck another 20-30 grand easily if you wanted the best of the best. But you don't need, you know, I'm living proof, you don't need the best of the best.
Do you get photographers that will buy the best of the best because of how they're perceived and how they look? You do? Right.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
I've been on shoots with people where they've turned up with expensive cameras, and I'm just like, Jesus, like, that's an expensive camera. And then you see what they what they put the picture online or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, I was hoping for a bit more. You know, but it isn't all down to the gear. Yes, it helps, and people go mad for megapixels and whatever, but it really doesn't matter. I've got massive pictures printed that were done with the 80D camera, and I've got some that are done with a 5D Mark IV, which are worlds apart in what they're capable of. Yeah. But actually, when you get a nice print on a wall, most people would not spot the difference.
Right.
So your average Joe who bought the picture would not have a clue what camera it came on. So
that's great. So one thing I've always said about your style of photographing is you always step out of the box. I'm sure I've said this to you before. When it comes to creative ideas, you're far from the average photographer. Now, I know that you've had the pleasure of working on all sorts of projects. What's been your most favourite project to work on?
I mean, the Fresh project is just come off the back of Abbey Road Studios in London.
Yeah, explain that one, because you just dropped that in there like it was nothing, mate. Explain that you've been to Abbey Road Studios. Come on.
To me, and it's no disrespect to Moose Records that took me there, I'm not a musician, so it didn't, you know, like...
I know, but it's still a monumental piece of history, that place, mate. Come on.
It is, but I think I'd rather go and meet Mr. Cannon and go around the factory in Japan. You know what I mean? Like, I'd probably be more excited by that.
Yeah.
But no, don't get me wrong.
Don't play it down, come on.
No, it was pretty... it was quite impressive. Outside, when you're driving into dump.
Right.
And the road, because they let you write on the walls of the front of the Abbey Road, not the building, but on the wall out front where the gate is on the road, they let you graffiti the wall, basically. You know, and people write messages and quotes from the Beatles and bits and pieces on the wall. But at the minute, and then they repaint it every 3 weeks, I believe. It was 3 weeks or 3 months, but I reckon 3 weeks, because a hell of a lot of tourists go there. So it makes sense to be 3 weeks. But at the moment, it's all Free Palestine plastered all across it. Yeah, and it just looks a bloody mess. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. You pull up and you're like, wow, this is it. But it is.
So is this place publicly accessible? Like, I mean, or do you have to book, like, can you book tours to look around it? Or
I don't think you can. I think you can only book to record.
Wow.
And that's it, yeah. Studio 1 is up for refurb at the moment, so that's shut. Studio 2, which is the big one, they had I'm not going to remember what it was, a big symphony orchestra from London.
Okay. I
cannot remember the name. It's something like harmonic, but it isn't harmonic. Anyway, someone's going to know it. Mm-hmm. They were in there doing, there was probably about 50 of them in there with all their various instruments.
Wow.
And at break time, you all kick out to the canteen. So they all come out, and I was like, what are you doing in there? Tell us, is it top secret? And they're like, we don't know. We just get code names. So it'll just be like Project 175 or something. He's like, but we do know that it's music for a film. I'm like, okay, cool. So we asked our sound technician, because when you rent a studio, you get your own little helper.
Yeah.
He'll run and fetch your tea, coffee, get all your wires, help you set up all the mics and whatever, like sound technician. And he was like, oh yeah, it's for a Marvel film. I was like, right. So whatever was going on in Studio 2 was for a Marvel film, but no one knew what one.
Exciting, man. That's crazy.
So, yeah, it was pretty. I was hoping there'd be maybe some celebrities down there, like some proper
stars.
Yeah. But there wasn't. So that was a shame on that side of it. But it is iconic. We got to have a bit of a look around the place while we were there.
Some of the photos you put up of the piano that still had the cigarette burns. Yeah. Who was it that actually?
Paul McCartney.
When Paul McCartney had been recording, he laid his cigarette on the side. To some people that'd be nothing like, but yeah, when you appreciate these moments in history, that's crazy.
That's it. You can take your own gear or you can hire theirs. Now everything comes at a different cost, but you can hire John Lennon's microphone. You can hire Paul McCartney's piano. And all these things are still in there. They don't bin anything. The hallways are full of mixing gear, wires, guitars, pianos, whatever, keyboards. The hallways are just lined with it, but you can't take any pictures in there, and it's to do with licensing as to who owns the pictures.
Right.
So inside you can't photograph. You can in the studios, but you can't down in the hallways.
Wow!
But there's loads and loads of photos.
Is there?
Yeah, I was a bit critical as well.
Yeah, I could take that one better, I think. Wrong angle of that one.
But no, it's like, there's people that are now not with us and all sorts down there. There's one of Amy Winehouse on the wall, and you're just like Jesus,
Yeah.
And then like you're singing into the same microphone that she sung into, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think some of the kids that were recording down there were quite blown away by it, and so they should be.
So they should be. I think if they're not blown away by it, then why are they there?
Yeah, that's it. It was quite an opportunity, without a doubt.
Yeah, 100%. So aside, because obviously that's probably your most latest project you've done. Can you think of anything else in all the years you've been doing this now?
Well, I like cars.
Yeah,
I'm quite into my cars. I photograph cars. So I had
and we're not talking about your average cars, are we? Well, you can go anything from vintage to supercars, can't you?
Yeah, that's it. You pay, I'll photograph whatever you want.
Yeah. Just like that.
But it all comes at a cost. I don't care what you drive, it comes at a cost. I'll make it look the same, but it still comes at a cost. But yeah, I had a message I was on a live stream a while back, and a lady who follows me came on. She's like, you can come down to Leicester and do our cars. I was like, okay, yeah, what you got? And she starts reeling these cars off, and it's like Lamborghini, old Cosworth, old Nissan Pulsar, M5, and I was just like, okay. And you sort of just think, all right, you're bragging, but nothing's going to come of it. I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't live anywhere near Leicester.
Yeah, but cheers for telling me what cars you've got.
Yeah, that's
nice.
It. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, lucky you. But then I did go down and do them. 20 cars in their private collection. It keeps changing. And off the back of that, I now work for them when they get new cars for their supercar fleet, which is the Supercar Experience Group.
Amazing.
They operate in Scotland and Northern Ireland, and I've been up to Scotland a few times, been over to Northern Ireland and down to Leicester and Lichfield and stuff, where all the cars are based and stored and moved about. And yeah, I now photograph all of their cars and film the events and all sorts. So,
that's amazing.
And I get to drive them. And so does my lad.
I was going to say, do they just passenger princess you, or do you actually get to drive these bad boys?
I have driven quite a few of them.
Nice.
Yeah. The best story is when I drove the McLaren Artura, which is the new hybrid, which they've binned off since then because it's rubbish.
Okay.
And I couldn't get out. Like, we all took them down to this massive unit for these photos to get a photo shoot. And then it was like, right, everyone grab a key, take a car back. We'll come back in the wagon, grab another key, take a car back. And I was like, wicked, I'm taking the McLaren. And everyone drove off and left me. And I was like, I don't even know how to start the damn thing. Then I realised it was moving because half of it's electric, yeah? Mm-hmm. At which point I then drive off and I'm like, right, the power will kick in a minute. It didn't. It stayed in electric the whole way home, or the whole way around the track.
No.
And I got back to the garage, and as I pulled in, I was like, how do you put the bloody thing into like beast mode? You know what I mean? I'm stuck in electric. And he's like, oh, what's that button there? Fired it up, made an absolute racket. And I was like, God damn it. I never got to give that one any welly.
Didn't take it for a second time round then?
No, I've been in it.
Nice.
I didn't drive that one second time round. But now I've driven the Porsche GT3, a couple of the Ferraris, Lamborghinis.
Wow.
So, and the instructors and stuff are brilliant. If you're based in Scotland or Northern Ireland, then check out Supercar Experience Group, because they do operate so professionally. I was quite quite blown away.
I guess they're there across socials as well, aren't they? They're active across that.
All the socials, yeah. So, but no, it was brilliant.
No, that's great. So, what's one thing about your career in photography that you really didn't expect to happen? Get your thinking cap on that one.
I didn't really expect it to become a career.
Yeah,
I think,
suppose,
you know what I mean? That's not why I picked the camera up. I didn't pick it up thinking I can make some money out of this. When I realised I could, then I went with it. But yeah, I suppose that is the bit. And what it's done for me, where I've gone, who I've met, even just the perks of scratching backs is incredible. You know, the jobs I can now get done. Oh, I'll photograph that if you do this. You know, from like car valeting, or for argument's sake. I've got one coming up soon. I'm going to photograph them as a business and get some promotional work for them. But my car's going to be the subject. So then it's not about the car, it's about them cleaning it. So I get my car cleaned professionally.
That'll do.
For the price of them doing some photos.
Yeah.
So it's not always a money thing.
Okay, there's perks to it then, yeah?
That's it, yeah. Quite often it can just be, you get me in with some tickets for the family or stuff like that, and I'll come photograph it.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's not all about money. Sometimes it's just about the adventure. I
suppose networking's massive as well, isn't it? Especially with your field. I'm guessing people will come up to you and say, you know, oh, you're taking photos, is there any chance you can do mine? And if they see obviously other projects that you've done, previous work, then that obviously leads you to newer jobs. So yeah, that's a great thing. It's a great thing. So I've already explained myself about you stepping out of the box, very spontaneous in your creativity and stuff, but describe to me, Kris, in 4 separate words your style of photography.
In 4 words?
4 words, just 4 words.
Badass Lens Jedi.
Badass Lens Jedi. I was going to say that's 3, but no, we'll put badass as 2 separate words. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I think you've pretty much nailed it there, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd need more time to think about that one. There's going to be a long pause in this podcast if not.
So, you go to all these different places. You know, you travel to... Oh, knocking the mic there. You travel to all these different... to see scenery and different monumental places. How do you approach new projects? Do you spend a lot of time planning your visits to a T, or do you just kind of go off the cuff? I'm guessing you check the weather and things like that to check that it's not going to be lashing it down on the day, or do you just turn up and see how it goes?
If it's a bit of travelling, I will check that it's at least half decent weather, although you never know quite what you're going to get. I went to Lake Vyrnwy. I've been a bunch of times, but the first time I went there, I went... it's coming off, well, when did I go? It was kind of early, very early spring, late winter, and I left at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was meant to be nice, so I'm like, right, I'm gonna go and get a sunrise on the lake. Got there, couldn't see anything. I'd never been, so I didn't even know really where composition wise I needed to be. I know what's there, but I didn't know really where I needed to be, so I kind of done a little bit of homework on the maps and just thought, right, well, I can park there. The tower that I'm after, there's a Australian tower that looks like Rapunzel's tower. That was kind of in the direction towards the sun, but there is apps where you can work out exactly. I don't use them, I just kind of blag it a bit. And then as the sort of light started to change, I could see roughly where I was, and I could see the tower, so I was like, right, I'm there, it's nothing but mist. So I was like, well, this is a bit pants, it's an hour's drive, it's freezing cold, and I'm not going to get what I want. Then the sun started to come up just a bit more, just before it kind of broke over the horizon, everything changed, and it just lit up, and there was this layer of mist covering the top of the water. The tower was reflecting, the water was like glass.
Wow.
And I was just like, I can't better this. And
Wow.
I've been back 3 times since, and I can't get a better shot.
So there could have come a time where you've gone, do you know what, it's not working out, jack it in,
Yeah.
and gone home and missed that potential good shot.
That's it. I was just like, I'll just sit there and go for it and wait. And it was, and I'd never been, so there was that kind of excitement anyway. Then when it started to look as pretty as it did, there was that excitement.
Yeah.
I had 2 cameras, I was vlogging it, I was doing all sorts. And it was a crazy morning. And yeah, it's produced some of the nicest shots I've seen, quite frankly. Without sort of blowing my own trumpet, I've got some that I've never seen anyone get. And that's just pot luck. That's not because I'm better. That is purely based on the fact my conditions ended up being perfect.
Yeah. Have you had times where you've sat for hours on end and then called it a day and not come back with the finishing products that you're after?
Not complete. I'll always get something.
Okay.
I will always get something, even if it's not what I set out to do.
Yeah.
I'll come back with something. There was a shoot recently I went somewhere, and I can't think now what it was that I went for. Didn't get what I wanted, but ended up getting something equally as good. But I just have to rack my brain. Might pop back to that one.
Yeah, we can come back to it if you remember.
But yeah, the Mac Loop is one where the planes fly through Wales in a place called the Mac Loop.
Okay.
So that's where the RAF train, basically. They'll train on the Lake District, and they'll train down through the Mac Loop in Wales, which is somewhere Welsh. I'm not even going to try and say it. You can just Google Mac Loop and you will find the route that they fly. But there's a couple of different vantage points, which are probably about a 40-minute walk up a steep muddy hill, and it's like fishing. You could sit there all day and not see a plane, or you might see 20 planes. Within about 10 minutes of walking up there, I met some people down that I didn't know. I just went anyway. Met a couple of people that were parking up, and I was like, oh, you know, are you here for the planes and whatever? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, right, I've never been. They're like, follow us, we'll walk up this hill here, and if it comes through, it comes through. And they've got all these radios, they're on the chat for the army and all sorts, and then they're listening in to radio chat because it's on a public wave. And they're like, right, Herc's coming through. As long as it doesn't bank off and go the opposite way, it's going to come through. And I was like, okay, well, the Herc, as in like the big thing. He's like, yeah, the Hercules. And I was like, oh, wicked, okay. They're like, right, and then here it comes, look, and you just see it just come around the back of this mountain. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. Now, I've not got the full zoom lenses that these dudes had, but it came round in front, and they get so close. They really get so close. I was absolutely blown away. But I also sat there for 8 hours, and that's the only plane I got. Wow. No jets came through, nothing. 2 Texans came through as I was walking down the car park, at which point cameras wrapped up in a bag. Couldn't get it. They just flew over my head, and I was like, that's cool. So yeah, I still haven't got the jets. And I want the jets. I want the, you know, as they bank and turn, you get all the kind of where the air pressure breaks over the wings.
Like the G-force and all that stuff.
It looks like marshmallow coming off the side, and they're the shots I want. And what people produce down there will be better than anything I get.
Yeah.
But equally, off the back of that, I edited a couple of pictures and I put them on a couple of local Wales groups. And a guy reached out to me and he's like, oh, was that today? And I was like, yeah, this morning about 9 o'clock, 9:30, it came through. And he's like, I'm the pilot and it was my last flight.
No.
Can I buy a picture off you?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I sorted him out a big acrylic and that went down to him.
What's the chances of that?
I know, honestly. And I was just like, the pilot of that plane has messaged me and wants a picture of it.
Wow.
And it's not, like I say, there are better pictures, but not necessarily of him flying that plane.
Yeah.
You know, there was only a couple of us on the hill at that time.
To him, that was special.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that was pretty, and they've stopped flying them now. I think they've been decommissioned anyway, and I think they don't fly them through there anymore. So that was also quite kind of iconic. I did manage to at least get one of them.
Yeah.
Because the jets will always go through. You know,
the Battle of Britain memorial flights always blow me away.
Yeah,
stunning. I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to aviation, mate. I do like my Chinooks or Chinooks or whatever anyone, you know, however they pronounce it.
I just love the sound of them.
Yeah, the double kind of propellers, amazing. You can hear them a mile off, can't you? I have a few come over here, to be fair, with Shawbury in the distance and stuff. Especially obviously on Cosford Air Show days and things like that, because a lot of them come back to Shawbury, especially the Red Arrows. We always come to a certain time in the garden well after the Cosford Air Show, and you'll see them coming across to Shawbury, and then the next day they'll be travelling away. And me and my family followed the Red Arrows quite a lot to different places, and we watched a documentary a few weeks ago, and it was from the photography view, and it was the chap that, you know, was responsible for taking all the aerial shots, and he's in the back of this, you know, this Red Arrow, and they're all doing their tricks on that, and he's kind of panning around and stuff. And I thought, what a cool job that would be.
That's the job, isn't it?
What a rush that would be. You know, never mind getting in supercars, getting a
fucking
a plane. Red Arrow and go, do 360 rolls and stuff with and still be able to get such a crisp shot.
That'd be bucket list.
Crazy. It's crazy. Definitely skillful. So, now I know that your social media presence is active. You've hosted loads of stream shows, Q&As, things like that. When you're at certain sites, you'll stick it on live and have a bit of a chat with the audience and stuff. And naturally, the trolls crawl from their rocks and they drop in now and then just to spread their negativity. So how do you handle negative comments?
I welcome it.
Welcome it.
I think they're brilliant. I think some of the stuff people have to moan about is absolutely hilarious. So I'll bite once or twice and just make them look a little bit stupid. 9 times out of 10, they don't come back. You pipe up and go back at someone and they'll just be quiet. But on a serious side, the best way for me personally, and I was told this by your boy Louis. He told me this because I said he must get a lot of hate and whatever because he's a quirky character, isn't he? He's got the sort of the nail varnish. He's not everyone's bag of cup of tea, whatever. I think he's amazing what he does, but you're in a platform where you're very famous. You're giving people an invite to come and say what they want and be negative. Behind a keyboard.
You're putting yourself out there, really, aren't you?
And he said to me, and I've kind of followed this advice. Basically, if you remove that comment, i.e., someone says I think your photography's shit, right? No one's ever said that to me, but if they did.
Your photography shit.
Yeah, there you go. You can just switch his mic off. That's it. No, if you remove the comment, and block the person, they've got nothing to do with you. They don't follow you. They don't care for you. Just remove it, and then no one else has got a platform to jump on the back of that.
True.
So if it's not there, you're not going to get many people pipe up and say negative stuff. So if you just nip it in the bud early on, generally people don't bother. But I've also got a very good following that will back me up and then go and hound someone. So every now and then someone will put like, oh, I'll have done this, this and this. And someone else will be like, well, he hasn't, because what he's done is better.
Yeah.
And then other people jump on that. So then I'm just like, oh, Christ. And I've even had to remove good comments based off the fact that they're kind of all jumping down someone's neck. There's one guy that I'm friends with from London. And he put a comment on, like a jokey comment. I can't remember what it was. We're going back some years. But he put something stupid on. And people jumped on him, started hounding him. And I'm like, whoa, like, he's joking. I know him. You know what I mean? Like, he's just having a laugh. But of course, people don't know that. So then they're quite quick to go and slam someone.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Do you ever get... Is there rivalry in this area of work? Do you get other photographers hating on you, making comments, things like that?
And I won't say it, but of course, yeah. That's how it is. It doesn't bother me because I do it my way. So I'm not fussed. I don't follow anybody else. I really don't follow. I bar some sort of a small friend circle of photographers that we're in a bit of a WhatsApp chat and whatever. I don't follow photographers because I don't really want to see what they're doing. For two reasons, I suppose. Maybe deep down, I don't want to see what they're doing because I don't want to go, oh, that's so much better than mine.
Yeah.
And then start putting myself down. But also, I don't want to copy what they're doing. I get copied a lot. And they say it's credit to your work. It's also bloody frustrating when someone copies you and their picture does better than yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's how it is. I've had people directly copy, like the next day, or I'll post something and 2 hours later someone else will post something exactly the same, and I'm just like, oh, look, get your own idea, you know. But I don't care. I don't mind. I do what I do.
Yeah.
And I sort of, someone put some pictures on a group recently and they were like, oh, not as good as someone here, but I've tried. And I was just like, mate, do it your way and make it yours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't worry about it being as good as the next person's. I don't care that mine are not the best photos in the world. They're clearly not. There are some people out there that are absolutely incredible, be it whether they edit slightly better or whether they take a better picture.
I've got to ask, like, where did you get the idea? Because again, I know I'm going back to Callum, but this is the last conversation I've had about you with Callum Doyney. Now, where did you get the idea of a stack of staples and an iPad for a background to make something that looked like Gotham City? And if you haven't seen that, guys, you need to head over to Krisography socials and check that out, because I found the post the other day and I actually sent it to Callum this morning because Callum hadn't seen it and he was blown away. He was blown away. I think that might have been in lockdown.
It was in lockdown, yeah.
Because you were trying a few different creative ideas from the studio in lockdown. Yeah. I think that was one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. There you go. Yeah. I mean, off the back of that, yes, I copied, but it goes back to me saying don't directly copy. I saw someone do it with screws.
Ah, okay.
And I was just, off the back of that, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a crack at that. It looks really good, but I want to do it different. So, and then I was like, staples are going to look more like a building. So I'm like, Kate, got any staples? And she did. So off the back of that, I sort of stood the staples up. And, and you take a shot and then you go, what can I do to make that better? So then I got the small laptop, like a little tablet thing. And I put that behind and done different backdrops, Milky Ways, full moons, whatever. And then I sort of added a bit of mist in and stuff. And then at the end of that, I was just like, there we go. That's the shot. And it was way away from what I'd sort of given me the idea.
Okay. So you kind of used that idea, not directly copying, just as a foundation, and added your own little tip to it, which I get that. It looked effective, mate.
Yeah, that's it. I highly doubt I've done anything no one's ever done. We're all going to copy to a degree.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to directly copy. I want to try and... a picture of a robin is a picture of a robin. There's not much you can do about that. And at this time of year, every other person's putting on pictures of robins. So you're not copying if you're doing that. But it's more if you sort of do something, a particular scene, and then it's completely copied. That's sort of frustrating side of it.
How long did it take you, and this isn't a question that I've even wrote down, this is just off the cuff, how long did it take you to adapt to, say, like with, when I'm making beats for this new album and stuff, I've got a digital, like, I create all my beats digitally online. Did it take you a long time to get used to your programs to edit your photos and know what knobs do what and what? Because to me, from looking at that as an outsider, that would just blow my mind. And surely you'd have to invest a lot of time in that to be able to use that confidently. Or was it YouTube videos that you learned through? Or because I'm guessing it was all self-taught.
Yeah, everything was self-taught. And yes, lockdown YouTube was my friend, without a doubt. I googled everything. I just YouTubed everything. Peter McKinnon was the one I went to. I don't watch him anymore. I don't know, I don't watch any photography tutorials now because I feel I've got to a stage where not I know it all, but I know enough for me to learn and improve myself instead of copying again. Instead of, there'll be every now and then I might need a tutorial if there's a certain setting. I've started sort of filming more now, so I've gone back to a few tutorials to get tips on gimbal speed and motor speeds and stuff like that, just to try and learn that a bit quicker, and so I know what I'm doing. But yeah, it's I don't know. There's no sort of easy answer. I use Lightroom for 90% of what I do, and this shocks most people when I say it. I'd say 99% of my work is done on a mobile phone. Not the pictures. I'll add that in. They're all done on professional cameras, but I edit 99% of it on a phone because it's quicker. I can do it anywhere. I stand in a queue for shopping and I'll edit a picture, But then when they go to print, or if it's for a customer, then it will go to the bigger tablet where I can actually then zoom in. Same program, but I've got a bigger area to see.
So there isn't less restrictions on a mobile phone. You can pretty much do the same thing as you would on the tablet. It's just on a bigger scale that you can see it on the tablet,
exactly
right?
That, yeah.
And I guess it's quite fiddly with you. I know I'm doing this with my fingers and listeners can't see that, but it's probably quite fiddly to do that, I've messed around with photos and stuff and added little bits of text, and with sausage fingers like myself, it's kind of hard on a phone screen,
Yeah. I mean, I've got the fancy pen for the tablet.
Oh, okay, right.
So for the tablet, it's that's when you can go in and fine tune. But for 90% of it, it's just sliding bars. It's sliding clarities and shadows and bits and pieces. Yeah. And as the technology moves on, as much as the AI is an absolute nightmare and killing the industry, it's also quite handy sometimes. It can fix a bad picture, so you can be like, actually, that's probably saved that. Whereas 2-3 years ago, it was a bad picture.
Yeah, it was tough. It's interesting, this AI. I never would have thought it'd ever come to it, but there's people now in the industry, like for me, just relating to what I do, there's people now in the industry that are writing full songs just based on AI. They're approaching labels saying, I've made this track, and the label's like, okay, let me listen to it. And it's just purely made by AI. They're just literally taking that and using it as their own. And the AI will do the artwork. They'll think of a name for the track.
The lyrics for half
everything,
of it.
You know?
It is. It's taking it away from people to try hard. And there's plenty of groups, and from the photography side, not the music, but it's the same in the music and probably many other industries, that you're seeing photos that aren't real, but it's getting harder and harder to tell what is. So then these groups of these people are creating pages that are doing really well, and everyone's loving it and everyone's sharing it, and then you come across it as a photographer and you're like, it's not even bloody real. Like, can you not see that's fake? There's 2 moons in the damn shot. I done a video recently on it, just taking the mick out of more of the idiots that like it. That's what's scary. It's one thing that the AI is creating it. It's more the humans that cannot tell the difference. That's the worrying bit. For the industry.
So this is the section of the show that I ask all the guests. You may have, you may not have, but in society today, mental health is massive. It's massive in men. I try to push it as an advocate as much as I can, and I feel it's always important to at least touch on it. Whether you've experienced it or not is a different story, but is mental health something that you've experienced at any point of your life? Not
diagnosed, but I believe everyone carries a bit of it. There's always, be it self-doubt, anything like that. We all get sad, we all get annoyed, and I know that for argument's sake, something like depression is not just you mope around the house all day depressed. I know it's a diagnosed thing and not just you're in a mood, which is, I think, is a bit of a common concept that people just think, oh, you can't be smiling, you're meant to be depressed. So it doesn't quite work like that. But I'm around it. I know people that do suffer, and it is a real thing. I don't get it, and I'm quite blasé to it. I'm just a bit like, oh, don't be silly, just get on with it. See, I used to pick your chin up, which is like the worst thing you can say to them.
Oh god, yeah, absolutely. See, I used to be the one that used to, before having depression and going through counselling, I'd be the one that we used to go, well, he can't be depressed because he's got a nice job and a nice car and a wife and a kids. What's he got to be? He goes on holiday 3 times a year. What's he got to be depressed about? And it's not as easy as that.
No, and it's not necessarily what you see either.
No,
it's very easy to live a social media life and then a real life.
Absolutely. And we were speaking about this before, weren't we?
Yeah.
Just putting that mask on and what people see, and there's Dribbz, and he's a confident person that loves talking to everyone, and then is avoid small talk at any given cost. It is a mask that I put on.
I'm not going to bollock my kid on a live stream for not brushing his teeth.
Absolutely.
When the camera goes off, I'll rip into him. Go and do your bloody teeth. You do it every day.
Yeah. So do you find then, like, with life's, if you're not directly struggling with mental health, but you feel sad, you feel stressed, life's just getting a bit crazy, do you see taking photographs and just going out into the wilderness for a few hours as a form of escapism?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, for me, like I say, I don't suffer, and I guess I'm quite well. I don't think I suffer, but we still need escapism. We still need to clear our heads, and I think photography is an amazing way. Even if you're not massively into it, you don't need fancy cameras, whatever. Take your phone out. Everyone's got a camera nowadays. Just go out. And I nearly made a video, and I really tried to do it, and it just all fell through. I had someone narrate it in America and all sorts, and it was called Look Up, and it was just about the world we live in is fast paced. Everyone's on the phones, which we've brushed on earlier already, and it's too easy to get self-absorbed in that world. Whereas if you just actually put it down, and I find myself walking around looking everywhere. I'm always looking for something a bit different, bit quirky, wherever I'm walking. The amount of times I must have looked at the Rican walking to your house today. I just keep looking at it, because every time you look, it's a bit different. Or you might just see a cool plane go over it, or a flock of birds, or whatever. I'm not necessarily going to try and get a picture of all that, but just looking up and looking for something, just your brain escapes. And I say it to the wife a lot. Just she started getting into sort of making some jewellery and stuff like that, and I'm just like, go and make something. Yeah. Oh, but the house is a mess. I'm like, so what? It's only us that live here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a mess. It's just maybe not as tidy as you might like it.
Yeah.
Go and just get your brain away, stick your headphones in, and go and make some rings or something. Do something that just 10 minutes a day, something that's for you. I think is a massive part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm able to I can do my music, and that's my escapism. But yeah, it's kind of the same with my wife. My wife feels like sometimes that she just exists as mum.
Yeah.
She doesn't exist as Becky.
I think mums lose their identity a lot more than dads.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Dads still generally go to
and
work.
the kids make them regularly knowing their identity, going, Mum, have you found this? Mum, do you know where this is?
That's it. They'll always go to mum first. Ask your dad, he's doing nothing. That's what I get.
I get that too, mate. I get that too. I'm in that club.
I'm doing nothing.
And I do tend to, say to my wife, why don't you go and see your friend for an hour, or why don't you go and get your nails done? Because for that hour, she's not mum. You know what I mean? But even then, I think her brain is always in mum mode.
But when I get back, that's it. Yeah, when I get back, I'm gonna have to do this and this.
Yeah,
it's just like,
yeah.
So what? So do that when you get back.
Yeah.
But for this next hour, go out.
Yeah, and I'm the same to a certain extent. Like I will, say if I've got my feet up and watching TV. To me, because I'm a bit of a strange one that loves cleaning. I'm a little bit strange like that. I love cleaning. It's my relaxation. I started off in lockdown. It was masking a form of horrendous anxiety that I was starting to get, and it's just kind of stayed with me. And I'll get up in the morning, Chris, and I'll have set routines I have to do. I'm talking, I mop the floors, I hoover the sofa, these kind of things, mate. And I can't miss one of these things out of this routine. honestly, if Beck does it for me, I'm like...
So the anxiety went, but the OCD came in.
Yeah, Beck's like... Beck will go, well, I've hoovered for you. And I'll go, but in my eyes, that's not clean because I haven't done it.
Yeah.
So I'll go and do it again, just so I know I've done it. She's probably done a better job than me, but just so I know I've done it. And that's kind of my biggest thing, where I've got my feet up watching TV, and I'll think, the dishes need doing. So I'll get up out of my seat and I'll go and do the dishes, and then I'll do something else, and I'll do something else. And Beck's like, where is your chill? You've got no relaxer, And I'm like, but I am relaxing when I'm doing the dishes. I am relaxing when I'm mopping the floors. That's the way my brain goes. And I do need to kind of take time and go, I need to properly relax, because you're still physically doing something all the time. But yeah, it's just the way I am.
I hope there's not many women listening to this.
They'll be loving it.
They're going to be looking at their men like, see, he does it.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
No, I recently did have a conversation with Kate, and I was like, I do a lot more than most of the men I know, as well as the two jobs. I was like, I do hoover, I do clean, I do iron. I don't mind ironing. I'm not brilliant, but I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
I'll have a crack. It might not be to your standard.
See, I can't cook, Chris. You probably shoot me down for that, but I can't cook.
Because I don't cook.
Right.
I can, but it's a job.
Yeah. I can't. So. I was never shown it. I've never took it on. I've always had a wife of 20 years that's come in and made these amazing meals, like Becky's fantastic at. I always said, like my mum always says, she'd been great in the war. She can open cupboards, and if we've got 3 or 4 things, she can make a meal for the family out of 3 or 4 things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what I've always had. She's always cooked up these, from like fresh ingredients, these amazing stuff, and I've never had the need to cook. And now I've got to this ripe age of 37, I'm like, how embarrassing is it that I can't put a meal together? But there's no such thing as can't, I suppose.
No.
It's taking that time to do it.
Yeah.
But the amount of times my wife's gone, come on, I'll show you how to cook. And I've got in the kitchen. She's like, right, pour that in. And I start pouring it in. Just move it the way I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
You know them ones?
I do.
So,
I like
when
that at work.
When you're saying about women going, oh, take a leaf out of his book, I always start with, my wife will go, he can't cook, so I have to back it up with, but I can clean. I'm bloody great at cleaning. And they're like, so that's your selling point.
I'm a boss with a Hoover.
I'm not hung like a horse. I'm a grower, not a shower, but I can clean.
That's it. No comment.
No comment. Anyway, so we mentioned about you having the pleasure of heading to Abbey Road Studios, working with Maceo and Moose Records, is that right?
Yep.
Which must have been an amazing experience. I'm going to move on from that. This is a bit of a random one for you. So if there was one moment in history that you could travel to and photograph, what would that be and why?
Oh, I like it.
Decent.
Yeah. Might have to pause it. I don't know. I mean,
you might have a couple of moments that you could think of. I don't know, something that you're interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in a kind of in a sad way, something like the World Trade Centers. I mean, that would be not. I don't know. It would be an incredible photo to take. It's a horrible moment, obviously, for anybody involved, and whatever your perspective is on it and how it happened is irrespective. There was people that died. And that's that.
I think the picture of the falling man is the picture that will live with me for the rest of my life.
That's it. Someone took that.
And
they probably didn't want to.
No.
You know what I mean? They probably didn't even know that was there when they took that.
And that's embedded into history.
That's it. Yeah, it's in there. So I mean, something like that is iconic. You sort of think back of sort of world wars and stuff like that. You think, I don't want to be a war photographer, but I bet you get some amazing shots. Yeah, you really do capture the moment. Even just people that go out and do the shots of the protesters and stuff.
Yeah,
you get really photography and journalism is quite a good one. You really can capture some moments that are history.
Do they tend to go hand in hand, and do they the journalism and photography?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if you're one of those ones, not paparazzi, but there are photographers that follow, like the campaigns and stuff they do in America, or they will follow wars and chaos. They will go out and follow it wherever it is. That's their job, to go and capture it.
Wow.
There's a film recently with Civil War. That's what it's called. It's a film called Civil War, not the Marvel one. It's just called Civil War, and that's really good. And that is based on a war photographer that gets kind of caught up with a civil war in America.
Right.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting, but would it be something that I've then got to live with? Like you say, that guy that took the fallen man, he saw it, he witnessed it, he photographed it, and now he's got to live with that. So that's the only thing that's sort of popping into my head that would be something iconic to photograph.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
No, that's cool. That's it's a good enough answer. So, where do you see yourself and the Krisography Lens Jedi brand in 10 years, for example? Long term, where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
look how far you've come in such a short amount of time, in 5 years. So think of 10.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd say the last sort of year to 18 months is doubled as far as sort of, work and social media following. I'd say is easily doubled in the last kind of year to 18 months compared to the first sort of 3.5 years. I don't know. My plan is to get a big enough catalogue of photos that when I retire, it still makes an income. There's still a passive income from people buying pictures. Mm-hmm. So that, because I don't want to bust my rear end forever. I don't want to work. I can't work in kitchens forever. I don't want to be doing photography forever. And there'll get a point where the stigma comes as you get old, where at the moment I'm not young, I'm 45, but I'm young enough and trendy enough to still go and look cool at a wedding or go and look cool at a gig, and fit in with a crowd, and be young and trendy. Even if my photography is absolutely on point when I'm 70 years old, I'm not going to look like that. And then it's going to be, we'll get this young kid because he's old. So I can't be doing it forever. So I think, I don't know where it's going to be. 10 years, I'll still be young enough. I don't really have a plan. Just get bigger. I guess it will end up becoming my job. Yeah. I think it will. I don't really want to end up being signed by kind of a massive agency to go around the world. As in theory, that sounds amazing, but I've got a family. Of
course.
And they won't be young in 10 years, but equally I've still got a family, I've still got a wife. I don't want to have to go away and...
Well, you've said already, look at what they miss out on because of what you're doing at the moment, short term, like doing that and going away to countries for months at a time.
If you get picked up by a BBC documentary that want you to go, up and down well, not even up and down the country, around the world, I won't be a wildlife photographer because I don't do that. That's the last thing I do. But, if there is something that you end up working for a company, Ferrari end up hiring me and I've got to be everywhere Ferrari are, my life changes.
Yeah.
But equally, if it comes with a nice big paycheck and everyone's old enough to do what they want, my wife comes with me.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I guess end goal is to just be more successful, push the social media more, become a somebody.
Yeah.
And, and just be bigger and better at what I do.
100%.
And have enough to sit back on.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So, finally then, Kris, we're going to go with, can you give any advice for any listeners that might be listening that may want to get into photography? And, I know it's just have fun with it. It's probably one of the main things. That's probably where you get your most creative ideas. But yeah, can you give the listeners any advice for that?
Yeah, I'd say the one bit of advice is do it for the right reasons. And that's the same with pretty much anything. I didn't do it to get big on social media. I mean, I'm not big compared to the realms of big, but I'm also quite big for myself being local and whatever. It's do it for the right reasons. Don't do it to be the best. Don't do it to be famous. Don't do it because you think you're going to make money. Do it because you enjoy it. And I think the rest will follow. If that passion shows in a picture and the sort of the skill that you learn grows as you get better, then it's because I'm quite vocal and I'm quite face on with it as well. That kind of is all part of the package with me. It's not just, it's a picture. I kind of sell myself, I suppose, and try and sell it as a bit of a brand. That's why I keep the name on the pictures, because I want people to walk into a house and go, oh, that's Krisography's. Yes. I follow him. I've got some of his stuff, or I want some of his stuff. So I want it to sort of stand out. But I think if anyone starting up, just enjoy it. Don't compare yourself to the next one and go, oh, I'm not doing it anymore because his is better or hers is better. Just do it for you. And even if you don't want to share it to start with, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Do it for yourself and just be proud of what you've made, whether it's good enough to win a competition or not. I don't bother entering competitions. I can't be bothered. I get told all the time, well, you should enter this, you should do that. I don't bother because I don't need the accolades. I don't want the glory from that. It's the same as when I sell the pictures. I do on the A4 frames, the prints. I say pay what you want. And it really is. Pay what you want. If someone says, oh, I'll give you £2, I'll say no. Let's be realistic. I've got to make some money. But it's pay what you want, because for me, I want the pictures on the walls. I want people to walk in houses and see them. So it's not a big money thing. I get paid. I've got jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need the money from the pictures.
Yeah. I mean, talking about pictures on the wall, I don't know if you've noticed, just behind your head there.
Yeah, you've got
2 shots there, and I do love them pictures. I've also got...
This one slipped, though.
It has slipped a little bit, yeah. Have you noticed that? It's probably grating on you a little bit, that is. I've also got another one of... What's that building called that's near...
Morton Corbett.
Yes, mate, Morton Corbett. It's one of my favourite shots, that is. I love that place.
It is very photogenic.
Yeah, it's got a nice character to it.
Yeah, you can do a lot with it. For a building that's kind of just ruins, there's a lot you can do.
It was that shot you did with all like the almost like tree roots coming down the side of it.
Yeah, well, it was
amazing.
It was a reflection from the farmhouse behind, well, in front, I guess technically. A reflection from the farmhouse light was lighting through a tree and then projecting the shadow onto the building.
Wow.
So it looks like it's got kind of vines growing all over it.
That's the one. Yeah.
And again, that's now not there either. That light's not there.
Right.
So you can't even take that shot again.
I thought that you digitally put that on there.
No, it's nothing.
Well, that's impressed me even more, mate. The fact that you caught that at that
and then
time.
the light inside it, people watching are going to be like, "What the hell are they on about?" But the light that's inside was just a big aperture light that we just put on the floor inside to light the inside of the building up.
Wow.
So it's just kind of, and I can't take full credit for that. There was a few of us out that night. Someone was like, "We should put a light here and whatever," and the fact that the trees reflecting onto it, or the shadow, the silhouettes on there. It's just pot luck. That's just you could barely even see it really at the time. You didn't notice it as much as it's come out on the pictures.
Amazing. So for the listeners that don't know, can you just let them know your socials, where they can find you?
Yeah, pretty much. I'd say Instagram and Facebook. Facebook's the one where I post the most. So if you do just like the photography side of it, that's the one to go to. It's Krisography with a K, so Krisography. Like I said, the Lens Jedi bit's in there, but you will find me under Krisography because there isn't any more. It's as simple as that. You put Krisography and I will be the top one on Google. I'll be the top one on Facebook, Instagram. Don't bother with TikTok because it's for girls.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kris.
Can of worms.
You have definitely. That's for another conversation. Yeah. Thank you for joining me, mate.
No, thanks for having us.
It's been Dribbz Talks. The next episode, we've got a whole load more guests to join us very, very soon. Don't forget all the usuals: like, share, give us a subscribe, because that goes a long way. And once again, thank you to everyone that's walking me on this new journey of podcasts. I'm dead excited for it, and I can't wait for more. So big up to yourself, Kris.
Big up. Peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say.